All right, am I live? Yeah, okay, great. Hello, students. Hello, everyone. All right. So everybody out there, I welcome you to the session. This happens to be the sixth session of our reading series. Hi, everybody. Good evening, Sakshi. Good evening, Naman. Hello, Nikhil. I am good. I am alive and kicking. Okay, hope you're good as well. All right. So fine, this happens to be a section on RC tones and styles. This is part 2. So in case any of you have not seen my part 1, which happens to be the fifth session of this series, kindly watch it. All right. And coming over to this class, I must say we have come a little far. As you can see, we discussed RC styles. Yes, we happened to discuss RC styles in our previous session, and these were the major styles that we had discussed. And we couldn't do enough number of questions because the theory itself is very, I am getting so many messages. Just a second, sorry. Yeah, hi, Harit, and hi, all of you. Chaliye. So coming back to this discussion, yes, I hope the theory was very clear. We did a practice question as well. अब मैं चाहती हूँ कि हम एक और practice question करें just to check your understanding. I just want to see whether you remember this or not. Class, so this is another question. Please attempt it. Question solve कीजिए. It's based on style, and I'm sure you'll be able to do it. Hi, Arish, Sweksha, Gautam, Satsan, Aman. Hello, all. So this is a question for all of you. It's a question on style, and we had already discussed this. In case you've not seen it, please do watch the fifth session. Do watch all of them. I'm sure they're beneficial. Meanwhile, let me take the opportunity to express one thing. I very firmly believe that when I take classes, is what I've been doing with power reading as well, I believe in building your concepts. So I've never come and just directly made you solve a passage. No, I think anyone and everyone can do that. So I think that it's important, it's imperative, it's fundamental to understand the concepts first. And then, of course, I give you practice exercises for reinforcement of your learning. All right. So I hope that your concepts are getting built. And this answer is going to tell me, yes, very nice. So I'm getting answers. Chaliye. Somebody says narrative. Somebody says descriptive. So descriptive seems to be very popular among students with regard to this question. Okay, what is this talking about? The idiosyncrasy of this town is smoke. You know, idiosyncrasy, the word, it means, very peculiar characteristic of something. Okay. Idiosyncrasy of this town is smoke. It rolls sullenly in slow folds from the great chimneys. And then, I'm not reading it out for you. You can clearly see that it's describing the scene. Of course, it's trying to tell you that in this town, smoke is the most striking characteristic. And you see smoke everywhere through the chimneys. You see it settling down on the streets. It's there on the boats, in the river. It's there on the facade or the front of the houses. It's on the poplars. Poplars are type, a type of trees. And even on the faces of the passerby. So it's pretty evident that the author is trying to set a scene. Look at the details. Look at the language that he has used. It has to be descriptive, no doubt about it. You can't call it narrative. Why? Because narrative is more about, telling a story or narrating an incident. This is not any particular incident. Sometimes people think it has to be only in the first person. Need not be. Can be a third person account of something. But here, The author is more dwelling on elaborating or sketching or painting a scene in front of you. So this definitely is descriptive. It can't be expository. Expository is something which tends to explain you a concept. There's no analysis going on here. All right. So well done, class. Many of you gave me the correct answer. Bravo. All right. So let's move over to tones, which happens to be the topic of the day. Now, what is tone of a passage? I like giving this example that imagine I'm taking a class and the student storms in my class after 30 minutes of the commencement of the session. And you know what's my reaction? It's an epic reply to him. Aye, aap hi ka to swagat tha. Please come and grace us with your august presence. What do you think? Am I welcoming the student? The student will definitely realize that, okay, madam has showered some kind words, but she doesn't mean them. Ma'am is feeling a little nasty or angry right now. Yes or no? What's my tone? How will he decide? You know, the tone. Madam, the tone se samajh mein aa gaya. This word we use colloquially. हम आए दिन tone word का इस्तेमाल करते हैं. उन्होंने ऐसा कुछ बोला तो नहीं, but उनकी tone जरा सही नहीं थी. Isn't it? What was my tone in this example? All right, yes, I was sarcastic. मैं taunt कर रही हूँ student को. How do you know that I'm being sarcastic? Of course, because of the background. When a student is coming late, मैं red carpet नहीं बिछाऊंगी उसके लिए. So number one, the situation, the background. Number two, my body language. Number three, the inflection in my voice. Right? My facial expressions and the voice inflection. So all these things, with the help of this, you could gauge my tone. Now imagine a passage. In the passage, there is no facial expression. In the passage, there is no voice. But what speaks the most is the author's words. So I would say the author's language, the author's words, the matter and the manner is going to decide the tone. So what exactly is a tone? As very rightly put up, tone of the passage reveals or represents the author's sentiment or attitude towards the subject being discussed. Author का क्या sentiment है? Author क्या feel कर रहा है about the thing that he's writing? See, of course, he's written a passage, so there is some subject of the passage. Passage में whatever the author is discussing. What does the author feel about it? For example, if I write a passage on Marxism, so either I can straight away outrightly bash them. I'm slandering them. You know, they're taking away lives. They are creating so much of menace. So, of course, my tone here is acerbic or very critical because I am severely reproaching them. बुरा भला कह रही हूं उनको, negative tone. But maybe that, you know, I am a little, I'm wondering about why is anybody becoming a Naxal? What is leading to Naxalism? And I also wonder, you know, what is their psyche like? What do they think? So my tone here is inquisitive because I'm trying to know something about them in detail. I'm curious to know about them. What is their life like? What do they think? Why are they doing this? Or sometimes, you know, I'm simply giving suggestions to the government as if how can this menace be contained or curbed? So that's where my tone becomes suggestive. So what do I write about that subject? Plus the way in which I write, it's going to reveal my emotion or my attitude towards the subject of the passage. And that is what is the tone. Okay, so I hope I have illustrated it really well. See, it's the predominant emotion the author displays towards the subject. And tone is conveyed through diction. Diction is the choice of words, the contents of the passage, and of course, the level of formality. So all these determinants are going to help you find out the tone. Yes, Veksha, that's right. All right. Chaliye, see, let's proceed. And then soon we'll be discussing some very important tones. Now, the first thing I want to highlight here is that if you want to gauge or want to assess the tone, notice the adjectives and adverbs, because these are describing words. So the way you describe something, these words are going to give you a very big hint about the tones. And whenever you read a passage, irrespective of whether there's a tone-based question on it or not, try bracketing the tone as, is it positive, is it neutral, or is it negative? At least you can do this much. Is the author feeling positive about something, or is he neutral, or is he negative? See, broadly, you can classify the tones as subjective or objective. Now, this is very important. Either the tone is objective or it is subjective. What is objective? What's an objective tone? Where the author is neutral and he's only stating you facts. He's not sharing his personal opinion. He could be analyzing something. He could be describing something. For example, a news story in a newspaper. ये हादसा हो गया, इतने लोग मारे गए, CM आए हैं, उन्होंने inspection किया है. Just telling you about what has happened. Just telling you without sharing his personal opinion, being very neutral and giving you some information. That's objective. But on the other hand, if the author is sharing his personal opinion about something, just the way you see in newspaper editorials, in the opinion articles, there the author is sharing his opinion about something. And of course, that's where it's natural that bias will creep in. It's natural that his emotions will be involved. That is called subjective. So, of course, you can understand that when the tone is subjective, there are going to be many possible tones in the ambit of subjective. Because if in a subjective tone, the author can emote, he can express his emotions. And you have a wide range of emotions and expressions and feelings. He might be angry, he might be threatening you, he might be giving you warning about something, he might be a little thoughtful, he might be nostalgic. So there are so many things that can come under a subjective tone. So in the limited time, I can at best take up some important ones right now, and we of course have to practice them as well. So let's have a look at some of the important tones. Yeah. All right, class. I hope you're following. If there's any confusion, you can drop me a message. All right. So these are some of the important tones. Now, please understand that there's one important thing. Whenever you're trying to assess the tone, try thinking that what is the passage making you feel like? Because the author is going to express his emotion very well through the passage, and that emotion is going to reach the reader as well. So after reading the passage, what is the feeling that you get? It makes you feel sad. That means the tone was possibly sad. It makes you feel worried about something. The tone was very anxious. All right. So this is one trick that I'm sharing with you. And another thing, as you can see, there are so many words. Class, you need to understand that for every word, there are so many synonyms. If I feel that the passage is written in which a particular artist is appreciated a lot, it's about Mozart, and the author feels that nobody can play music like Mozart. He was the musician of all times. So you need to understand that the tone can be any of these words. And in fact, no list is exhaustive. There can be many more synonyms. So tones happens to be more like a word play. It's pretty obvious. But then, okay, if you do synonyms of these common tones, you will be in a very safe position. So number one, talking about the subjective tone, I've told you where the author is sharing his personal opinion about something that is subjective. That's where he can be called as involved. Biased, you will select biased. only if you think that the author is too bent towards one thing and not the other. So he's outrightly favoring something, so that could be more biased. It might not be a direct synonym of the subjective tone. Subjective is the umbrella term. Objective, yes, of course, objective can be neutral. It can be factual, informative. If you think that the author is sharing a lot of facts about something or giving you a lot of information, it's informative. Detached, when you think the author is not at all showing his emotions, he is being very neutral, he's distancing himself and objectively telling you about things, that's where he's detached. Is this clear? All these words, laudatory, to applaud someone, give him a big round of applause. हम ऐसा बोलते हैं ना, applause मतलब तारीफ करना किसी. तो ये सारे words हैं तारीफ के लिए. As I gave you the example of Mozart, I'm writing a passage on Mozart and I am extolling him through and through. I'm saying he's a musical genius or unke jaisa koi nahi, and so it can be appreciative, eulogizing, extolling. Encomium भी हम तारीफ के पुल जो बांध देते हैं उसको encomium कहते हैं. Approbation का meaning होता है approval. It means approval. All right. But when I say overwhelming, that means I am approving something, I'm accepting something too much with open arms, trying to embrace it. So that also can be put in this. On the other hand, it could be कि मैं किसी चीज की बहुत बुराई कर रही हूँ. I am too criticizing something. So these can be the words for it. Now, out of this, disapproving is a word where you are expressing that something is not good enough. I reject it. I don't approve of it. So it's disapproving. If you're disapproving something, sometimes it can be that आप किसी चीज को नीचा दिखा रहे हो, छोटा दिखा रहे हो. That's where demeaning comes. Disparaging, belittling. Imagine you're talking about anything. For instance, I say I'm talking about a particular politician and I believe that he doesn't deserve that position because he is dumb or he's just got it through luck. So I am actually demeaning him. I am contemptuous of him. Scathing, vilifying, vitriolic, caustic, plus aap ye words note kar le. These are synonyms, might not be very direct or perfect synonyms, but quite close. So you take this cluster and I'm hopeful that it will benefit you a lot. ठीक है, काम आएगा ये. तो ये हो गया जब आप किसी को अप्रिशिएट कर रहे हो, किसी की तारीफ कर रहे हो. ये हो गया जब आप किसी को बुरा भला कह रहे हो. Caustic, scathing I've not included. Acerbic, very sharp, very biting, very negative words for someone. Clear with this much? Optimistic and pessimistic. Now, broadly, you can club a tone as either it is optimistic. Now, that song, you remember, we have sung it all our childhood. We shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. What do you think is the tone? Yes, Sakshi, I understand. That's why I will give you practice questions for that. Okay. So it says here, we shall overcome. I believe things will change. A better world will come. That's very optimistic. We call it sanguine also. Sanguine, S-A-N-G-U-I-N. Right? So, आप आशावादी सोच रख रहे हो. Pessimistic if you think that the future is very bleak. I don't know what's going to happen. There's no ray of hope. You're being very negative in your outlook. So you are pessimistic. Look at these words. As such, they're very, very close. Taunt marna kisi ko. You're taunting somebody. So you can be sarcastic. Ironical. See, sarcasm and irony are very close words. God forbids if someday you are asked the difference between these two. I know it's going to be a very difficult one, but I'll give you some tricks through which you can navigate and you will find your way out. Sarcasm is more biting in nature. Sarcasm is, see, irony is when what we expect and what actually happens are very different things. So what is happening is very different from what we expected. For example, it's ironical that in a country like India, where there are goddesses, where goddesses are worshipped, in that country, female feticide is so rampant. In that country, women are abused, molested. That's the irony. Are you getting me? So what is an irony? But then when it comes to verbal irony, it's like literally जो author लिख रहा है वो mean कर रहा है बिल्कुल opposite चीज या काफी different चीज. Sarcastic is actually a form of irony where you are trying to hurt. Sarcasm is intended to bite, intended to hurt someone. Just like I gave you the example of a student coming late. I said just the opposite of what I meant. I said welcome. But I intended to hurt the person so that he doesn't repeat that behavior. Is this much clear? What is a satire? That's important. Thank you, Mahesh. I'm overwhelmed. All right. What is a satire? Satire is the use of humor or irony or exaggeration through which you point out the follies or vices of somebody or of human nature or of big institutions like political parties, government, religious institutions. आप कटाक्ष कर रहे हो, व्यंग कर रहे हो किस तरह से. Everything that you're saying is directed towards bringing out an improvement. Satire is targeted towards bigger things. If you are taunting a friend, that is not satire. Please understand the difference. So humorously, आप कोशिश कर रहे हो टारगेट करने को किसी को, किसी चीज को, या तो ह्यूमन सोसाइटी को, ह्यूमन वी ऑल आर विक्टिम्स ऑफ वैनिटी, आप उस चीज को अटैक करना चाह रहे हो, आप हमारे बिलीव्स को, गवर्नमेंट को, किसी बड़ी चीज को आप टारगेट कर रहे हैं. व्हाई द ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ bringing an improvement or bringing the change. That is satire. So sarcasm is very personal. It's biting with an intention to hurt. I hope you have understood the difference. मैं आपको एक question के through ये कराऊंगी. So let's take one question and then we will continue with the remaining roots. Yeah, go through this question. It's really nice. Yes, Rohit Kumar, they earn really well. There's a very bright future for lawyers. If you've understood the difference between a satire and sarcasm, I'm sure you will be giving me the right answer. You're waiting for your answers, people. Come on. Okay. All right, let's discuss. I think I've given you enough time. But yeah. Some medical beast, look at the word, medical beast, had revived tar water. We don't know what is this. You need not know. It is something. Just take it as a term. By the way, let me tell you, tar water was a kind of a liquid that was made by mixing in a specific kind of an oil in water. Okay. So some medical beast had revived tar water in those days as a fine medicine. So tar water was supposed to be a good medicine. Rather, it was pitched as a good medicine by some medical beast. Now here it's referring to some medical professional or some expert or some doctor. And Mrs. Jo always kept a supply of it in the cupboard, having a belief in its virtues corresponding to its nastiness. Mrs. Joe was particularly fond of tar water. She believed that it's a good enough medicine. All right. But at the same time, the author calls it nasty. Why is the author calling it nasty? Probably because tar water was a very bad smelling liquid because it had some oil in it, which was smelly. At the best of times, so much of this elixir is kind of a potion or a kind of a special drink or a concoction. Yeah, mythology mein jo amrit bolte hain, that can be called elixir. So much of this elixir was administered to me as a restorative, but I was conscious of going about smelling like a new fence. All right. Because it is some oil which smells really bad. So the author says that Mrs. Joe gave so much of this tar water to me as a restorative. Restorative is a medicine which helps you restore your health or vigor. जैसे weakness हो जाती है तो हम लोग tonics लेते हैं. That kind of a medicine is restorative. But you know, the author is saying that I was so conscious that I am smelling like a fence, a newly painted fence. What do you think is the tone? Is it formal? Do you think a formal writing would look like this? Not at all. Okay, very nice. All right. Some of you say sarcastic, some of you say satirical. All right. चलिए देखते हैं. It cannot be formal. Formal writing ऐसे words का इस्तेमाल कभी नहीं करती. It's supposed to be serious and solemn. Humorous. Now, humorous, the purpose of humor, when the author is being humorous, he's actually trying to joke with you. He's cracking jokes, or he is, the objective of being humorous is making you laugh, bringing a smile on your face, or amusing you. That's not what is happening. It's not humor because it has some pinching words. It has some negative words. So it can't be humorous. Look at the word medical beast. Look at the word nastiness. Look at the word smelling like a new fence. Now we're just left with satire and sarcastic. Kya lagta hai aapko? I've told you satire is different. It's targeted at big institutions, at our beliefs, which are often wrong and that need to be improved. Sarcastic is the better choice, certainly, because he is taunting here. He doesn't feel positive about tar water, but he is, through humor, through irony, he is trying to employ a sarcastic style. Okay, so this is the right answer here is sarcastic. Is this much clear? Clear ho gaya na? Satire nahi bhai, satire bhari cheez hoti hai. These are few more tones, and I hope that you will find them very, very interesting. Look at this. When the author is really sad about something, melancholic, lugubrious, bari words hai, aise hi aate hain. That's why I'm sharing these words with you. Lamenting, morose, mournful. When you're mourning over something, you're lamenting. Koi cheez ka aap dukh mana rahe ho. You're really sad. Maybe the author is grieving about the loss of some family member. So he's supposed to be melancholic. Cynical. That would require a lot of detailing. We don't have enough time right now. Let's move over to this. Motivating, encouraging, inspiring. Something like a self-help book. It motivates you. It encourages you to be positive, to give the best that you have. So it's very motivating or inspiring. Sometimes it could be that the author is simply making fun of you. मजाक उड़ा रहा है आपकी किसी कमजोरी का, किसी weakness का. So he's mocking at you, he's jibing, ridiculing. Ridicule करना. तुम CLAT crack करोगे. अच्छा, तुम्हें NLU जाना है. Oh really? I wonder, what is this? This is of course very scornful, very sardonic. They're making fun of you. That is this. All these words would mean that. When the author looks very thoughtful, he's thinking about something very deeply. That's pensive, thoughtful, musing, ruminating, introspective, philosophical. ये सारे synonyms हैं. इसमें दिमाग नहीं लगाना. You just understand one word and then the rest of you'll have to learn. Is this much clear? Cynical भी बता ही देती हूँ जाते जाते. Cynical is when the author feels that it's an extremely negative view about humans. A belief that no humans are sincere. There's nothing called human sincerity and goodness. Such a view is cynical. So if the author feels that somebody is being kind to me, it's with a purpose. He has some ulterior motive. If somebody is being friendly to me, this means that, he's simply trying to find out a friend and fulfill his personal social needs. If somebody is doing philanthropy, it's for show off. So such a belief is actually cynical attitude or belief, okay? A cynical behavior. Class, this is a paragraph and I want you to solve this. Quickly go through it, please. Am I not audible? A difficult passage? Especially for Sakshi, because she had said that when it comes to longer passages, I find it difficult to find that tone. So Sakshi, especially for you. Okay. See, what is this talking about? The first para. It says that today high-heeled and platform shoes are worn for style, okay, to make a woman look fashionable and appealing. But in the previous days, they had a utilitarian purpose. That means they were worn with a purpose. And what was that? People used to wear detachable wooden platforms so that they could protect their shoes from the weather. Amazing. And the streets also had a lot of grit, those fine stones which could damage their shoes. So that's why people used to wear detachable heels. However, now it's purely for aesthetic effect, for the purpose of looks, for looking beautiful. Now it says we should evaluate, why is it that women wear heels, high heels? Why do they want to wear high heels? Is it to increase confidence in one's appeal, to attract attention from others, or to conform to the dress expectations of society at large? The author is putting forth a slew of questions. He wants to know why today women wear high heels. Is it out of some pressure? Is it out of the expectations from the society? Or is it simply because they feel more confident after wearing this? The various possible motivations might cause a woman to wear a high-heeled shoe, create a great level of ambiguity as to why the shoe continues to persevere in fashion. So there's a lot of confusion, a lot of ambiguity as to why these shoes, high-heel shoes, are still in vogue. Author's attitude towards high-heel shoes is best characterized as. Let's have a look at the options. Dismissive. Dismissive is when you dismiss something, when you reject something. I don't think the author is rejecting heels. No. He's in fact trying to know. First, he tells you about heels, why were they used previously, but now he's very much concerned about Why are they want to? He wants to know. Perceptive. What do you mean by perceptive? When you have very deep and clear perceptions about something, when you are very insightful about something, when you know about something quite in depth, that's when you are perceptive. Is the author perceptive? In the first para, he might look like, because he knows about the history of heels. But in the second para, he's clueless. He himself wants to know about so many things. He doesn't know why people still wear heels, why women particularly still wear high heels. So I think he's rather inquisitive because he wants to know. He's inquiring. That's why he's inquisitive. There's so many questions he has put up. Yes, Arish, it's inquisitive. Saumya, do you now get it? Yes. All right. Critical, no, he's not negative about it. I don't think so. So it's through and through inquisitive. All right. एक last question करें छोटा सा. This is the last thing we're doing today. The last question. Come on, let's quickly do it. Fine. Pleased to see your answers. Martin Luther King so aptly testified to the profound effect of the strange career of Jim Crow. Now, this is some book on the civil rights movement by praising the book and quoting it frequently. So it says that Martin Luther King was constantly praising the book. Which book? This book. And quoting it also. But what this says, Martin Luther so aptly testified to the effect of, matlab he gave his testimony that this is a very intense book on civil rights. Look at the word aptly. The attitude of the author of the passage towards the book. Author of the passage ka kya attitude hai towards this book? See, we know what is Martin Luther King's attitude towards the book. He was praising it, so he was laudatory about the book. He was admiring the book. But what does the author feel? Do we know that? Yes. Look at the word aptly. When the author said aptly testified to the profound effect, this means that the author agrees with Martin Luther. Aptly matlab appropriately. When something is apt, it's appropriate. It's just correct. So the author endorses the book himself. Just by this single word, we got to know what is the author's attitude. Otherwise, hum nahi samajh pate. So we know it's approval. And what is the best choice here? Approbation. Skepticism is when you are skeptical about something, doubtful about something. The author is approving. He says he aptly appreciated the book. Criticism is out of question. Advocacy is when you are advocating something or pitching for something. This could be, but this implausible, which looks really weird. Implausible means unreasonable. When something is not possibly right or it's not reasonable. So out of all the options, approbation is the best answer. Very well done. All of you gave me the right answer. Sai, Sweksha, Haika, Sakshi. Okay, and many more. Fine class. So I hope you got some insights into the world of tones. Tones are many, but I could take up only some important ones. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for being there with me. Thank you so much. Bye. Take care.